Welcome. You've made it here, and that already means something. If you find comfort in this space, if these words bring you even a moment of quiet, you're warmly invited to subscribe, to like this video, or leave a gentle comment below, not out of obligation, but simply to mark a place you can return to on the nights that feel heavy. Now, let's begin. Sometimes, the most overwhelming feelings aren't the loud ones. They're not panic, not grief spilling over, not even sadness with a name. Sometimes it's the soft kind, the kind that hums quietly in the background, like the dull ache behind your eyes after a long day, or the heaviness you carry in your chest but don't speak of. A kind of emotional tiredness that doesn't scream, it just lingers, quietly, like a shadow stretching across the floor at dusk. And maybe tonight, that's exactly where you are. You didn't come here for answers. You came for calm, for silence that doesn't feel like emptiness, for the sound of a voice that doesn't demand anything of you. Not solutions, not productivity, not even healing, just presence. So if your shoulders are tense from holding too much, if your heart feels like it's had to beat a little too fast for a little too long, if your thoughts are spinning, but none of them are loud enough to make sense, come. Rest here for a while. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be, no version of yourself you need to perform. Just this moment. Just the sound of the wind beyond the walls, the dark sky curling over the world like a soft blanket, and the quiet within you that's been waiting to be heard. Not all silence is lonely. Not all stillness is hollow. Sometimes silence is sacred. A returning. A remembering. You've spent so much of your life listening to everything else. To the voices of others. To the pressure to be okay. To the hum of responsibility, duty, deadlines. It's not your fault. The world got too loud. And somewhere along the way, your own voice became the softest one in the room. So soft, in fact. You started thinking it had disappeared. But it didn't. It just learned how to whisper. It waited for the moments between moments, when you're lying awake in bed at 1:17 a.m., when the phone is off, the lights are out, and no one is asking anything of you. Not even you. It's there now, isn't it? That flicker. That presence. That soft murmur you can't quite explain. It's not broken. It's just been ignored. And tonight, we're going to listen. Not with intensity. Not with effort. Just with softness. As if you were sitting beside a lake at twilight, and the water had stilled, and you could finally see your own reflection. Breathe here. In this quiet. In this nothingness that holds everything. You've done enough for today. More than enough. And even if your mind tries to resist, tries to fix or analyze or make sense of this moment, you don't have to go with it. You can just watch it. Like clouds moving across the sky. Like wind brushing past tall grass. Like waves reaching the shore, only to pull back again. There is wisdom in this quiet. Not the kind that teaches you how to be more, but the kind that reminds you, you already are. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not too much, and you're not enough. You're simply here, breathing, feeling or not feeling. Both are welcome. Let that be enough for tonight. If emotion rises, let it. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Healing doesn't always look like transformation. Sometimes it looks like rest. Like laying down the armor for just one night. Like saying, I don't have to carry it all right now. Because in this space, in this soft corner of stillness, you are allowed to just be. Let the quiet hold you. Let the wind remind you how to move without effort. Let the dark sky wrap around you like a lullaby. And if your inner voice begins to rise, timid, uncertain, weary, listen. Not to fix it. Just to honor it. This is where it begins. Not with action. Not with change. But with noticing. With remembering that your quiet is not your absence. It is your depth. And there, in that depth, you are still whole. Somewhere along the winding path of life, You began to trade silence for performance, stillness for response, your soft truth for the sound the world preferred to hear. Not because you wanted to, but because you had to. Because somewhere along the line, being seen meant being useful. Being loved meant being easy. And being safe meant being silent. So you learned to read the room before you read your own feelings. To measure your worth and how little space you took up. To say, "I'm fine," even when the quiet inside you trembled under the weight of it. You adapted not as a choice, but as a quiet kind of survival. A skill that was never celebrated, yet constantly required. The world got louder and louder, until the only way to be heard was to shout over yourself. And so, you stopped listening. Underscore 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 underscore. Like the wind muffled behind a closed window, your inner voice faded into a background hum. Still there, but harder to hear. You began to believe that your intuition was broken, that your emotions were unreliable, that your discomfort was a flaw, not a whisper asking you to slow down and come home. But it's not broken. And neither are you. It's just buried beneath all the things you thought you had to be. Underscore 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 underscore. The noise became your armor. Busyness protected you from stillness. Perfectionism shielded you from criticism. People-pleasing kept you from rejection. All the things that once felt like coping became costumes you forgot how to take off. And underneath it all, your inner voice curled into a corner and waited. Not gone, just quiet. Not lost, just ignored. There's a kind of grief that comes from not being known. Not just by others, but by yourself. To look in the mirror and not recognize who's looking back. To feel like a guest in your own life. To smile on cue, but not remember the last time it felt real. This is the quiet trauma. The unspoken fatigue. The emotional detachment that doesn't scream, but lingers like fog, soft, and constant, and hard to explain. Underscore 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 underscore. Trauma, in its gentlest form, is simply this. The world asking you to be someone you're not, so often and so loudly, that you begin to believe the asking is love, and the pretending is peace. But your body remembers. Your breath remembers. Your soul remembers. It remembers the way you used to feel, before you had to make yourself palatable, before you learned to rehearse instead of rest, before the noise became your protection, and your prison. Underscore 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 underscore. And maybe tonight, in the hush between thoughts, you can hear it again. That faint rhythm beneath the armor. A heartbeat. A pulse. A presence. The version of you who never left. The voice that never stopped whispering. The self that was never broken, only buried. There is no rush. No need to fix what was never faulty. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about making space for what's already there. Already waiting. Already whole. underscore 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 underscore. You don't have to earn your own attention. You don't have to prove your feelings are valid. You don't have to apologize for the ways you've coped. Armor isn't weakness. It's intelligence. It's love in disguise. But even armor gets heavy. Even warriors need rest. So let this be your rest. Let this be the part of the night where you remember, not all noise deserves your response. Not all expectations deserve your sacrifice. And not all silence is empty. Some silence is sacred. Underscore 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 underscore. Breathe in through the quiet you've been avoiding, out through the weight you no longer need to carry. There is room here for who you really are. Room for stillness. Room for softness. Room to remember the sound of your own voice. Not the one the world prefers. The one that was always yours. Gentle. Curious. Kind. Still whispering, even now. There are parts of you that still exist, even if you haven't visited them in years. They don't vanish. They don't break. They wait. Quietly. Patiently. Like forgotten rooms in a childhood home, still furnished, still whole, just layered in dust and silence. You didn't mean to leave them behind. You simply did what you had to do. To survive. To be accepted. To feel safe. And somewhere along the way, you taught yourself to tuck pieces of your truth into corners. To stay quiet when you wanted to speak. To smile when you wanted to scream. To be small in moments you should have taken up space. That isn't weakness. That's adaptation. It's how the soul learns to protect itself when the world feels too sharp. But now, in the stillness of this night, those forgotten pieces begin to stir again. Not with urgency. Not with noise. But with a soft pulse. A flicker beneath the skin. A faint echo that says, "I'm still here." Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." But this isn't meant to frighten you. This is meant to soften the path inward. Because what you buried wasn't darkness. It was just too tender to carry through the storm. That's the shadow self, not your enemy, not your flaw. Just the version of you that stayed behind when the world asked too much of your light. And tonight, we don't confront that shadow. We sit with it. As you would with an old friend who went quiet for a while, not out of anger, but out of grief. There may be memories that drift through your mind now. Ones you haven't thought about in years. Moments you brushed aside. Feelings that never found words. Let them pass like clouds. Let them unfold like pages. You don't need to judge them. You don't even need to understand them. Just feel their shape. That lump in your throat when no one listened. That ache in your chest when you chose peace over honesty. That tightness in your stomach when you kept quiet to stay safe. Each of these moments became a part of your shadow. Not because they were weak, but because they were powerful. And power, when left unseen, becomes quiet. But now your body remembers. And so does your voice. The one you thought had disappeared. It never did. It simply retreated. Into dreams. Into music. Into those late-night feelings you couldn't explain. And now, gently, slowly, it's returning. Not to demand change. Not to make you someone new. But to bring you back to yourself. Because healing isn't about adding more. It's about unearthing what's already there. Dusting off the parts that still shine beneath the weight of old expectations. Like a garden that never died, just went underground for winter. Now, in this quiet space, you begin to bloom again. Not loudly, not all at once, but quietly, delicately, in your own way. You may still feel numb, still unsure, still guarded. That's okay. Safety doesn't arrive in declarations. It arrives in consistency, in giving yourself permission to be seen, one breath at a time. And tonight, that's all this is. A breath. A turning inward. A remembering. Your forgotten self is not a stranger. It is simply the version of you that chose to wait until it was safe to return. And now it's safe. Let that echo settle in your chest. Let it wrap around you like a warm blanket. Let it hum in your breath like a lullaby you almost forgot how to sing. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are simply becoming. Becoming softer. Becoming whole. Becoming more you than you've ever been. Some pain doesn't scream. It whispers. It lingers quietly behind your smile. It weaves itself into your routines, the way you double-check the lock or pause before speaking your truth. It's the ache that doesn't demand attention but steals your peace in silence. The kind of ache that hides inside your muscles, your breath, your silence, until even rest feels like work. Maybe you've learned how to function well, to hold conversations, to get things done, to nod and say, "I'm fine." But inside, something pulls. A tiredness that sleep can't touch. A weight that refuses to leave, even on the brightest days. This is the invisible ache of holding on for too long. Holding on to roles you outgrew. Holding on to stories that no longer serve you. Holding on to guilt that never belonged to you. Sometimes we hold on not because it feels good, but because letting go feels unfamiliar. Even pain, when held long enough, begins to feel like home. And that is what exhausts you most. Not just the weight, but the constant effort it takes to pretend it isn't there. No one taught you how to set it down. No one showed you how to stop bracing for impact. So you learned to clench, to stay alert, to survive on tension like it was oxygen. But your body remembers. It remembers what it was like to be soft, to laugh without caution, to speak without rehearsing, to cry without shame. Those moments may feel distant now, but they're not gone. They're simply buried beneath the ache of everything you've been holding for too long. And tonight, maybe you don't have to let it all go. Maybe it's enough to loosen your grip. Just a little. Maybe it's enough to let your shoulders fall back into the mattress. To let your jaw unclench. To give yourself permission to stop performing safety and start feeling it instead. Because real safety isn't found in control. It's found in surrender. In trusting that you don't have to carry it all just to prove you're strong. You are not a container for pain. You are a home for healing. Even now, as you lie here, tired, numb, uncertain, your soul is still whispering. You don't have to keep proving you're okay. What if rest wasn't a reward but a right? What if softening wasn't weakness but wisdom? This ache you carry, it was never meant to be permanent. It's just a bruise from armor you wore for too long. Armor that kept you safe, yes, but also kept you distant from yourself. And tonight, we gently take it off. Not all at once. Not with force. But like peeling away layers soaked in rain. With care. With breath. With compassion. There are pieces of your story that you've never spoken aloud. They live in your bones. In the pauses between your words. In the tears you never let fall. Let them be seen. Not fixed. Not solved. Just seen. Because sometimes, what hurts most isn't the memory. It's the silence that followed it. And here, in this quiet space, you are no longer silenced. You are heard. Even in stillness. Even in this moment where you say nothing. Your ache is real. But so is your healing. Let them both exist. Let your breath carry the tension out, slowly, softly. No rush. No pressure. Just the gentle truth that you no longer need to hold it all alone. The ache is not who you are. It's just what you carried when no one else could see. But I see you now. And you can rest. Not because everything is perfect. Not because you've reached the end. But because you deserve peace in the middle of the journey too. There comes a moment, not loud, not dramatic, when something inside simply says, "This is enough." Not out of anger. Not out of weakness. But from a soft, worn-out place that has spent too long running, pleasing, proving. You may not even notice it at first. It doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes it arrives as exhaustion. A sigh you didn't know you were holding. A silence that suddenly feels like relief. An ordinary moment where your soul stops asking for more. This is the quiet language of enough. It speaks beneath your achievements. Beneath your attempts to be liked, to be perfect, to never disappoint. It speaks not in goals, but in grounding. Not in volume, but in truth. And if you listen closely, in those quiet hours like this one, you'll hear it whisper. You don't have to keep trying so hard to be lovable. Because you already are. Even in stillness. Even in the mess. Even when you feel like too much, or not enough. You've spent years translating your worth into accomplishments. Trying to be useful so they wouldn't leave. Trying to be pleasant so they wouldn't hurt you. Trying to be everything, just to feel like something. But here, tonight, your body knows the truth your mind keeps forgetting. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to be healed to be worthy of peace. You don't need to keep explaining yourself to feel understood. There is a gentler language waiting within you, one not shaped by performance, but by presence. It's the language of enough. It says, "You've done what you could. You've carried what no one else could see. You're allowed to stop now." And stopping is not quitting. It's remembering. It's remembering that your heart was never meant to run like a machine. That your spirit was not designed to run marathons of self-denial just to feel safe in this world. There is no trophy for self-abandonment. No prize for pretending you're okay. But there is deep peace and quiet joy in meeting yourself gently, and letting your breath come back home, and letting your eyes soften, and letting yourself feel without rushing to fix. You don't need to do anything tonight. There's no lesson to master here. No shadow to wrestle. No transformation to chase. Just this. You're allowed to be, without pressure, without judgment, without measuring your worth by your usefulness. What if your presence, even in its most tired, raw, uncertain form, was already enough? What if the softest parts of you were not the problem, but the proof that you're still human, still here, still open, still willing to feel? There's courage in that. And tonight, maybe the bravest thing you can do is nothing. Not numbness, not distraction, but true nothingness. A rest so deep that even your soul exhales. Let yourself go quiet. Let yourself be small. The world has been heavy. You don't need to carry it tonight. Let this be the night you stop asking yourself to be more. Let this be the night you stop apologizing for needing rest. You've been enough this whole time. You were just too busy surviving to notice. And now, in this slow moment, with your eyes growing heavier and your heartbeat slowing down, let that truth settle in your chest. Not as a mantra. Not as a goal. Just a soft fact, like moonlight on still water, you are already enough. Exactly as you are. There is a kind of rest that isn't just about closing your eyes, it's about opening your soul. A rest that says, you don't have to carry the weight of becoming right now. Not every night has to be a breakthrough. Not every silence has to be filled with meaning. Sometimes, healing looks like simply letting the storm inside you go still. Not solved. Not silenced. Just quiet. Tonight, let the quiet become something sacred. Let it wrap around the parts of you that were too tired to ask for comfort. You've been through so much. More than you speak about. More than even you fully understand. And still, you showed up. Even in your numbness. Even in your overthinking. Even when your heart felt like a locked room with no key in sight. But here's the secret the world never told you. You don't need to be ready to heal. You don't need to have energy to begin again. Sometimes rebirth doesn't begin with fire. It begins with sleep, with softness, with surrender, with allowing the version of you that was always on edge, always on, always performing or pleasing or bracing for impact, to finally lie down, to unclench, to be witnessed without needing to explain. This is not failure. This is not weakness. This is the wisdom of your body saying, "Let me be new," without having to fix myself first. Because rest is not the opposite of growth. It's the beginning of it. Rest is where all the scattered pieces of you start floating back together. Not in a rush, not in a grand transformation, but in the smallest, gentlest of ways. Like roots growing in the dark. Like a flower unfolding before the world is watching. Like the ocean remembering its own rhythm after the storm has passed. This is where rebirth begins. Not with declarations, but with breaths. Not with striving, but with surrender. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are in between. And the in-between is a sacred space. A place where nothing is demanded of you, yet everything is allowed. Here you are not defined by your productivity. Not measured by how well you cope. Here you are simply held. By the night. By the hush. By something wiser than words. There is nothing left to do now. Nothing left to prove. Your inner voice, that one you thought was broken, buried, lost, it's still here. It never stopped speaking. It just got quieter so you could survive. But in this quiet, in this soft unfolding, you begin to feel it again. Not as noise, but as knowing. Not as judgment, but as gentleness. You begin to hear your own soul again. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped chasing everything else. This is your return. Not to who you were told to be, but to who you've always quietly been. The one who cries and still hopes. The one who's tired and still shows up. The one who feels deeply and still chooses softness over bitterness. That is who is being reborn tonight. Not a brand new you, but a truer you. The version of yourself that's been whispering all along. You don't need to be fearless tomorrow. You don't need to have answers. Just rest. Let this rest be the ritual that leads you back to your own heartbeat. Let it be the soil where your courage quietly regrows. And as the night deepens, as your breathing slows, as your body begins to drift towards sleep, know this, you are not behind. You are not too late. You are not lost. You are simply becoming. And becoming takes time. Becoming takes stillness. Becoming takes nights like this one, where you choose, even without energy or clarity, to be gentle with yourself. That is enough. That is everything. So let go now. Let the thoughts pass. Let the weight drop. Let yourself float. And as you fall asleep, feel that quiet voice return. Soft. Steady. Safe. It's not gone. It's not broken. It was just waiting for you to listen.